The slasher film is a subgenre that has been through the ringer over the course of its lifetime. We've seen 1,000 different killers with 1,000 different designs and 1,000 different powers, supernatural or otherwise, in 1,000 different locations and settings with seemingly the same set of dumb college kids. And in this sea of clones and copies, there have been many movies that have tried to reinvent it, especially recently. Some managed to pull it off exceptionally well, and others not so much. But there's one that subverts the slasher formula really well that I feel often gets overlooked. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. This backwoods horror film is centered around a group of college kids partying in the forest, being hunted down by a pair of psychotic hillbillies. Or at least, that's what they think. And today, I want to talk about why this makes it so fun to watch. And yes, spoilers ahead, as well as a content warning for graphic imagery. In my opinion, this horror comedy's greatest strength comes from the fact that the horrific murder, gore, and bloodshed that occurs throughout the film happens because of a misunderstanding. The college kids, like us, believe that these country bumpkins are out to get them. And given the fact that the area they're in is known for the Memorial Day Massacre, where a group of hillbillies slaughtered several college kids, it's easy to see where their collective paranoia comes from. But it couldn't be any further from the truth. Dale is a helpful but shy guy, and for as crass and blunt as he is, Tucker is a supportive friend. They're just a pair of nice people who want to refurbish a cabin in the woods they've just bought. But chaos ensues as the misunderstandings and miscommunications between the hillbillies and college kids become more and more insane. It creates a funny and interesting storyline that's not only filled with some great laughs and spectacular gore, but also one that takes a look at the idea of stereotypes and the damage that they can lead to. And the mass killer in this film is ignorance itself. And it does a hell of a job dealing with nearly each one of the college kids in this film. Every death is caused by a lack of knowledge or awareness, not being aware of your surroundings, of the way a person's moving, or simply not knowing how to use a gun. The only college kids who survive in this movie are those who manage to overcome their ignorance and end up learning more about their situation, the hillbillies or themselves, both for the good and the bad. It doesn't need a psycho killer to get the job done. I mean, it gets one in the end, technically, but you know what I mean. And it manages to balance its horror with its comedy, managing to be aware of how ridiculous it is, while also being sure not to become a parody of itself. The kills are both horrifically shocking and yet twistedly hilarious. The characters are cartoonishly exaggerated cliches, but they're still relatable. And though their reactions to everything going on are over the top, they're understandable reactions. The college kids will see every death as proof that these hillbillies are out to kill them because they've been raised with the idea that hillbillies are killers. Whereas Tucker and Dale think that they're proof that the college kids are insane because they're so naive and unaware of the misunderstanding that's occurred, they don't know what else to think. The film carefully and expertly toes the line of subversion to create something that flips the subgenre on its head while being sure not to mock it or the audience. In the end, I think the main reason Tucker and Dale vs. Evil works so well and is so fun to watch is because it's a slasher movie that's not trying to be a slasher movie. Yes, it does make fun of the typical tropes and cliches of the slasher film, more specifically the backwoods subgenre of the slasher subgenre, but at its core, it's a movie about misunderstandings and stereotypes. It shows the different ways these problems arise and the different ways people deal with them. And ultimately, it's a movie with a simple message. Don't judge a book by its cover.
We have had a doozy of a day.
A real doozy.
And yeah, those are my thoughts. I feel kind of weird about this. I went from saying appearances are everything this week to saying appearances aren't everything this week. Hypocrisy or a subtle metaphor for the complicated and convoluted nature of the modern world? You decide. Also, sorry if this video seems kind of short. I've been trying to get a lot of stuff done, a couple of skits, some writing projects, a Halloween event for the Down Society, and I just haven't had the time to write anything more in-depth or detailed. I'm sorry. It should be fixed in a week or two when I'm done with all that. Anyway, tell me what you think. If you agree, disagree, why your favorite slasher film is, why your favorite slasher film death is. My personal favorite is wood chipper death from this movie. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, check out my last video where, as I mentioned, I explained why appearances mean everything in 28 Days Later. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to come fly with me. And hopefully, I'll see you later.